Squad fam, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Derek and I do car reviews. Today we'll be checking out this 2006 Toyota Highlander. It is a first gen Highlander which ran from 2001 to 2007. Now this is a front wheel drive limited edition. Back in 2006, this had a starting MSRP of about $31,105. Today I'll give you a tour around the exterior and interior of the vehicle, then I'll put you in the driver's seat for a point of view drive, and then finally I'll wrap it up by giving you my thoughts on the vehicle. And one other thing, I am located up here in the Northern California Bay Area, so if you've got a vehicle up this way that I can review, please shoot me an email at the address listed here. Thanks. Starting off up front here in the engine bay, you'll see the 3.3 liter V6 engine that powers this vehicle. It produces 215 horsepower and 222 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 time is 7.8 seconds. It has a 5-speed automatic transmission and fuel efficiency is rated at 17 miles per gallon in the city, 23 on the highway for a combined 19 miles per gallon. This 3.3 liter V6 was only available from 2004 to 2007. From 2001 to 2003, it was a 3-liter V6, which had a 4-speed automatic transmission. Across all years of the first-gen Highlander, there was also a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder with a 4-speed automatic transmission available. That engine produced 155 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. Fuel economy on that 4-cylinder was rated at 19 in the city, 25 on the highway for a combined 22 miles per gallon. Now all these numbers are related to the front-wheel drive version of this vehicle, which this is. But there was also an all-wheel drive version of this first-gen Highlander, and those numbers varied slightly. There was also the hybrid variant of the Highlander, and that got about 26-27 miles combined. An interesting fact about the Highlander hybrid from this generation is that it was actually the first available 7-seater hybrid. One thing to note is the 4-cylinder Highlanders came with a timing chain, whereas the V6 ones came with a timing belt. So that is something to be aware of if you are in the market for one. In 2008, when the second generation Highlander was introduced, Toyota switched all engines for the Highlander to a timing chain. Now, being a limited edition, as you see stated here, these upgraded wheels are what you got as opposed to the regular wheels. Now these 5-spoke wheels were introduced in 2004. Prior to that, the limited edition got a 6-spoke alloy. Once these were introduced in 2004, then those old 6-spoke alloys became standard on the base models. Now moving around to the rear of the vehicle, you'll see the large amount of storage space that you have back here to haul around whatever items you may need to. Now one thing you'll notice is you do have seat belts on either side here, as well as some cup holders. That is because below this mat, there's a tab here and you can pull that, revealing 2 additional seats, bringing the total capacity of this vehicle to 7. This 7-seat option was only available from 2004 to 2007. If this were a 5-seater vehicle from 2004 or prior, in this compartment where those seats come up from is where your spare tire would be. If this were a 2004 or newer vehicle in a 5-seat option, then that would be just an added storage compartment. Now with these 2 rear seats up, obviously that does cut into some of your storage space, but you still have a small, decent amount of room here to carry a couple small items. With those added 2 seats folded down, you of course have the option to pull on these tabs here on either of these seats, and you can fold these seats completely flat, and I can do the same on this side as well. And then now you have quite a bit of added space here if you need to haul even larger items. Alright, so now I'll show you how you get into those 2 back seats. So you pull on the same tab here as you would if you wanted to lower these seats, and that'll slide that seat forward, and then from there you can go ahead and hop on back. And I'll go ahead and put this seat up as well. And for reference, I am 6'1". It's a little tight back here at my height. I'll get the camera and show y'all what it's like back here. All right, so this is what it's like for me at 6'1" with a size 14 shoe, trying to sit in these back seats here. My feet are tucked underneath, it's quite tight. Headroom is good though. I've got good headroom, it's just small. I guess if you've got some young kids, then they can fit back here. Like I mentioned, you do have cup holders on either side back here, and you also have this compartment here labeled heater. You flip that open and you'll see you do have controls for heat, just low or high. It does say main switch at front must also be on. I'll show you all that once we're in the driver's seat, but you should note that you only have heat back here, no AC. All right, so moving into the middle row of the vehicle. Like I mentioned, I am 6'1". The driver's seat is set to my driving position, And I'm very comfortable back here. Legroom is very good, much better than it was in that back row. Headroom is excellent, and the seats are very comfortable and well cushioned. I could find myself being pretty comfortable back here on a long road trip. As far as features go back here, this vehicle is from 2006. You don't have a bunch of toys. You do have a center armrest that folds down, very well cushioned, and I should say the leather in this particular vehicle has been very well kept and it has held up very well. But you do also have 2 cup holders here that fold open. Both doors back here do have 2 additional cup holders, so that brings your total rear cup holders to 6, so you can have all the drinks you want. You do have a small pocket down here for some added storage as well. Down below here you do have your ashtray, and then below that you've got a small, slightly larger than that ashtray storage compartment. Finally, moving into the driver's seat. The seat itself very comfortable. That same comfort from the back seats brought forward here in the front driver and passenger seat. Now, on the door itself, you've got, of course, your lock and unlock, your window lockout button, and your 4 window controls. Down below, you do have a small storage compartment as well. To the left of the steering wheel, you'll find your left and right mirror controls, your rear heat button that I mentioned when we were in those rear 2 seats. Below that, you have a small pocket here for some storage, maybe some coins or something like that. To the right of the steering wheel and below, you'll find your traction control off button. Now the steering wheel itself feels very well put together, sturdy. You've got some controls here, simple, just for your audio to turn the volume up and down, change the track, and your mode to go between FM, AM, CD, etc. Your blinker and wiper stocks feel very sturdy, and your cruise control button is attached to the right side of the steering wheel. The gauge cluster is also very simple, nothing complicated like these modern vehicles. To the left, you've got your tachometer, in the center you've got your speedometer, and then on the right side you've got your fuel and temperature gauge. Simple. Alright, as we take a look at the center console here, pretty simple layout. Up top you've got your clock in the center, to the left of that you've got your hazard lights. Below that you do have a small screen in the middle here that'll show you the exterior temperature, the interior temperature, and you can toggle through that info with the button alongside that here. To the right of that info button you'll find a mode button that will adjust where the air is coming from. So just through these top vents or through the top and the footwell, that's how you adjust that with that mode button. To the left of that screen you do have a recirculation air button, and then below that you've got very simple climate control buttons. So you've got your auto to the left, off in the center, and then turn that AC on or off with the right button. And then to adjust that temperature up and down, simple use of these knobs here, and adjusting the fan speed as well, very simple. Turn that wheel right and left. Just in between those two, you have a front and rear defrost button. Very simple. I wish all modern cars were this simple and not overly complicated with screens that you have to go into to do these simple tasks. Now below all those climate controls you have your audio. Now the owner of this vehicle has replaced that head unit with an aftermarket one so that they could have their Bluetooth connectivity and that backup camera, but that's fairly simple to use in this vehicle as well. Just below that head unit you will find your gear shifter, of course. To the left of that you have your cigarette lighter, and then to the right of that, above that gear shifter, you've got 2 buttons here, one for the left driver's seat, one for the right passenger seat, to turn those heated seats on. Now you do have to note that those seats only have one setting, so you cannot adjust the temperature up or down. It is just either the heat is on or the heat is off. On this gear shifter you'll also find your ECT snow button, and then below that gear shifter here you do have your ashtray revealed underneath this wood trim that opens up, which looks quite nice as well. And then just behind that you've got a pocket that flips open here, revealing 2 cup holders. Behind those cup holders you do have a compartment here which opens up and reveals some storage. Now up above you of course have a little pocket here to store those sunglasses, and then this vehicle does have a sunroof and moonroof, so you've got your sliding cover, and then you've got your controls for that here, as well as 3 buttons to program if you wanted to pair this vehicle with a garage. And then those sun visors do fold down and out, and there is a piece here to slide to extend out, so that is always very nice. Well, that wraps up the tour of this vehicle. Now I'll put you in the driver's seat to see what it's like driving it. So just a couple thoughts while I'm driving this vehicle. One, I guess I would describe it as very pleasurable to drive. It's comfortable, easy to drive, smooth over the bumps. It's got good power getting onto the freeway if you need to pass someone, you know. Of course, being a front wheel drive version, depending on how aggressively you drive it, you'll get some torque steer, but the way I'm driving it, I'm not getting any of that. And I don't think many people buying this vehicle would be using it in that sense. So again, this front wheel drive version, if there's not a need for all wheel drive, this is a perfectly fine option. But yeah, the seats are very comfy, the driving position is comfortable, you don't feel much of these bumps. It's well insulated in here, nice and quiet. AC is blowing cold, and much just like I thought when sitting in the back seat, and I said I could find myself comfortable in that back seat on a long road trip, this driving position in this vehicle feels like it would be very comfortable to drive on a long road trip, and you could be nice and comfy the whole time. And everything in here also is held up very well. You know, this vehicle is a 2006, so what is that, 18-year-old vehicle now. This particular one does just have 74,523 miles on it at the moment. So this is quite rare to find one of these with such low mileage, but even so, after 18 years, everything in here has held up very well. It's that Toyota reliability and, you know, very good quality product, especially from this era of Toyota. I think this is like prime Toyota build quality era, you know, of course late 90s, but the early 2000s there were really good vehicles being built by Toyota, Lexus, and just everything in here, you know. The wood trim looks decent, and just the dash, everything, and the simplicity again of everything in here I really love, and I wish cars would kind of go back to being built this way. So my thoughts on the 2006 Toyota Highlander. Like I mentioned during the driving portion of the video, the vehicle rides very comfortably and very smooth. Actually, compared to the 2017 Lexus RX 350 I reviewed, I'd say that this Highlander was a smoother ride, especially over bumps, compared to that RX. Now, being a front wheel drive vehicle, I've of course seen that, you know, people on the forum saying you get torque steer with this. And to be honest, I think that just really depends on how you're driving the vehicle. If you're driving aggressively, accelerating hard, then yeah, you probably will experience some of that. But I don't anticipate many buyers driving the vehicle that way, right? I think most people buying this are just looking for reliable transportation. They're going to be driving fairly calmly and not that aggressive. So if you don't have a need for an all-wheel drive vehicle, like this particular owner didn't need an all-wheel drive vehicle, living here in the Bay Area, there's no snow, not super heavy rains, and does short driving just around the area, I think the front wheel drive option is a great option for you. Now, this vehicle does just have about 75,000 miles on it, and while yes, that is very low mileage to find on one of these, the vehicle has been around for almost 20 years now, and despite that, the interior has held up extremely well. Throughout the interior, things felt very solid and as if it were brand new. Now, I understand that the wood trim may not be as appealing to people as it was back in 2006, and it might feel a little dated with that, as well as the knobs to adjust the climate control, but I will say those simple knobs get the job done much more easily than a lot of these modern cars do. So I actually prefer the simplicity of this vehicle as opposed to some of the newer stuff. Now, as far as pricing goes for these, I did do a search on Google and just try to see what they were listed for. I only found two base models that were below 100,000 miles. Those were the only two vehicles below 100,000 miles. They both had about 90,000 miles and they were listed for $8,000. I saw plenty of them well over 150,000 miles, some into the mid 200s, 220, 250,000 miles. I did see a couple with about 120 to 150,000 miles, and the price for those range between $5,000 and $7,000. I think it's a great option if you're looking for reliable, comfortable transportation, and you're okay with taking on a little bit of mileage. And to be honest, like I said, I'm seeing these with 200 to 250,000 miles and still running. So even if you get one with 130,000 miles on it or so for about $5,000, and it's been well taken care of and well kept, I think you can get some good solid use out of it, and it should last for a couple of years. The owner of this vehicle has mainly just done oil changes and of course that timing belt, so if you are in the market for one, be sure to check the status on that. Well, that wraps up the review of this vehicle. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're not already to join the Car Squad fam so you're not missing out on other videos like this. And those subscriptions do help grow the channel so I can keep bringing you more videos like this. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time.